monk. You know, it's better to be a warrior in a monastery than a monk on a battlefield. You know, but to say even more, it's better to be a warrior, you know, tending the garden, who is inner, has inner peace, has calmness, has, um, you know, reached a sense of inner quietness, you know, but is also able to do the physical, able to defend themselves, able to fight, able to protect and serve. And yeah, I think a lot in, especially what I've seen in all this bullshit on social media, is there's all these betas trying to tell you what an alpha is. Understand this, the difference between a beta and an alpha is an alpha takes responsibility. A beta just seeks to have all the fame and the glory and the, you know, they just want the title of the alpha with none of the responsibility. And you see this in men. Some men want the titles, but they don't want the responsibility of what it truly means, you know, to lead or even to manage. And others are the true ones who just take up the responsibility and accept the responsibility and carry it. And they help others to see that and carry the responsibility. Like, that is an alpha. In a wolf pack, the alpha is the one that finds the hunting ground. It's on the alpha to find the food. It's on the alpha when danger comes to assess and determine what to do. The alpha doesn't look, you know, to see what they can get. The other wolves give the alpha what they need so that they can continue on. In wolf packs, the alpha doesn't lead from the front. Typically, they will lead from the back to make sure that no one is left. Because the alpha wouldn't leave one, or it wouldn't let the pack continue on without one. A beta might, because a beta doesn't accept the responsibility of what it means to lose one. So we've got to understand this, that when you seek to follow someone because they take that responsibility on, not because they want the title, not because they want everything that's flashy. Because the thing is that an alpha doesn't need to tell you that they're an alpha. You can hear it in their voice, you can hear it in their tone, you can hear it in the words they say and the actions they do. They do not need to tell you. And this is what's funny, because when we see this in a bar fight, it's usually where someone's posing and they're usually bigger and they get their ass kicked by a smaller, quieter person. That is why, because that person was an alpha and the other person wasn't. When you're willing to take responsibility, it means you're willing to sacrifice, but also you're willing to make a decision. By being willing to make a decision, you can choose any direction you want to go. So we should always seek, especially in business, I believe this, is we should seek to create our teams and our companies with that in mind, that if I am the owner, if I am the leader, it is my job to put food on the table and make sure that the hunting grounds are prosperous. It's my responsibility to make sure no matter where we go, I am always the one who ensures everyone makes it. Regardless of if others leave. So if others leave, I make sure they get there. Because I set the tempo for the team. So we got to understand in those actions that the wolves do, the alpha is setting the tempo, or the sort of the, oh, it's such a simple word, but I've forgotten that. But they're setting the pattern of, this is how we behave. This is how we treat each other. This is what is acceptable. This is not what is acceptable. To the exact same that business owners and managers do that. But a lot of them create arbitrary rules, and then they just set targets and set expectations, and they do nothing about it. Many of the good managers and owners, especially that I've seen in business, in many of the companies I've worked, were the ones who actively took the responsibility of, if there's a problem with leads, I have to fix that problem. I have to make sure it's fixed and it's solved. You know, if there's a problem with individual workers, we sit down and we talk and we see if we can resolve the issue, or if we need to part ways. Like, you know, we understand our values and we need you to uphold our values. Like, because a bad manager, especially in a company, is one that lets people not uphold the values of the company or the mission of the company. So, for example, if their mission is to provide value, and they have an employee, like let's say a sales guy, that manipulates and pressures people so he can increase his sales and increase his commissions. By a manager, even though he's making more money, by a manager keeping him there, if he's going against the values, he's only going to erode the brand. So he's going to do more damage in the long term than any money he could ever bring in. So we have to understand that like, to be a leader means you have to take the hard decisions sometimes to protect the team. But it's also like, you're not the one making the decisions for the team. You're just the one taking responsibility for the decisions of the team. So like, there has to be this level, especially in management and corporate and stuff like that, and bigger companies. Like, there has to be this trust that, hey, if I'm paying you 60 grand a year to be a salesperson and you're a competent salesperson, like, there's got to be a trust that, hey, you know how to do your job. This is how we do it. I'm going to train you on how we do it, and then we're going to sort of have a two-way thing. So where you would sort of have a meeting where you would set goals, and then sort of set like the time frames, and then how we're going to achieve it. And then we have meetings so that as the leader, if in week 2 they sort of get into a bit of a slump and they're not hitting targets, we're able to revise it and you're able to give them new insights. So we got to understand that, especially, you know, when we're talking about company structures and we're talking about building teams, as the leader, you have to invest everything into them. It's not, you know, I'm paying you this, so you should be this. It's no. It's what do you need to get to where you want to get to, and how do I give it to you? And then how do I manage that? And, you know, how do I keep you on track and make sure that we're all moving towards the same goal? The highest performing teams I've worked on have all had one thing in common. And it's not that these teams, like, because I've worked across many companies and within many teams, the number one thing is that there was clear direction and a goal. So we had agreement that we were moving towards a goal of X amount of sales for the month. This is how we were going to do it. This is what we were individually responsible for. And this is what what we were going to do across the month, and then we had our scheduled meetings. And an important thing for this is you got to understand, when you invest into someone time and energy into making them better, okay, your belief fuels their belief of achievement. So by those companies and those managers who were really good, investing so heavily into their teams, what happened was the teams became hyper-focused and hyper-dedicated towards hitting the goals, but it was also, everyone was clear on what the result of each action was. So we knew that, if we did the work, if we made the calls, if we, progressed each of these clients forward, it would result in sales. So everyone was cohesively moving forward. Everyone was, sharing information, looking to better one another. That's the thing. The more we look to better each other by sharing what we learn and bettering ourselves, the faster the rate that the team will expand at, or will become technically qualified at, I guess you could say. And it's just really important to understand that if we want to make a relationship better, any kind of relationship, the more we invest, the better it's going to be. Now, the downside to this is true until we get into the bullshit of society. So if people are playing bullshit games, like, in business, you get your fucking wheelers and dealers that think, I know boats, I'm out to get the best deal. And they're sitting there talking to 20 different people at the same time. And fucking, they're not a serious buyer. So the thing is like, there's always going to be dickheads. There's always going to be fake people. But you just got to get better at identifying them. So every time you meet a fake person, remember either like, not intellectual cues, but like things they say. Remember the things they say and how they talk, and sort of the perspective from which they talk in. And what we do is we save them so that whenever we meet someone who talks like that, we can instantly go, well, hey, let's keep a bit of a closer eye on this person, because potentially they're going to be, this kind of a person. So, it's the same in relationships too. We really want to have, oh, son of a bitch. We really want to have like a way to mark things so that we know, statistically, if I meet 10 girls and those 10 girls have the same interests and likes, and 10 out of the 10 girls don't share the interests and likes with me, well, then I can say that, like, hey, that doesn't work. Now, it doesn't mean it always won't work. It just means the likelihood of it working is quite low. So we're able to create these sort of mini hypotheses of past experience and sort of create these create these, what would you call it, like, basically it's just these like yes no problems. So that's what we're able to do through the past experience. But yeah, oh, it's bloody hot out here, but so nice. If you can hear the birds, I really enjoy them. Oh, but I am done for the day. So I hope you enjoyed this and have an awesome day. Thanks so much.